So the first question is, how do you identify the builders who have issues with cash flows? Okay. And so the first and foremost is, are they starting off their new builds first than the old builds, right? Because that's a clear indication that they're having cash flow issues. Number two is more on their lifestyle choices. And so if you see a builder, driving a massive four-wheel drive and all of a sudden, coming up in a Toyota Camry, that's a good signal that the builder is having cash flow issues, okay? You would see builders downsizing from big, magnificent offices to, smaller showrooms or smaller warehouses. That's a clear indication that the builder is having cash flow issues. One of the key things that I do is, go and speak to their trades. And if their trades have not been paid for the last 1 week or 2 weeks, because trade wants the money up front, majority of the times. And so if they haven't been paid for a week or two, then there is a clear indication that, of course, they're having issues in relation to, the cash flow side of things as well. Of course, there is a lot of desktop research that comes through as well. You can reach out to, credit providers. You can reach out to, Victorian Building Disciplinary Register. You can reach out to, Google reviews and see what people are leaving in relation to reviews. If a builder is having a lot of, issues or feedback in relation to bad complaints, a lot of people are having issues with the type of the build. That means that the builder is cutting corners. It's not just the reputation. It's because he's having cash flow, he or she is having cash flow issues. That would be replicated into some of these things as well. And of course, paying the suppliers on time. A lot of people don't think about suppliers, right? You have that information available on hand. There's only a handful of suppliers that is available out there. And so you can actually pick up the phone and talk to them about a particular builder and say, hey, have you been paid from these builders on time as well? Okay. Ultimately, I would suggest, instead of mass builders, you need to go to people who are custom builders. While paying them a slight more premium, they are a lot more susceptible because their risk is a lot more limited. I think the biggest risk in today's time is the mass builders, because they've written so much bad risk that, they have a less likelihood of going to fail, versus a smaller builder who can cap their risk and, still pay, $100,000 out of their pocket and see through, in some of these circumstances. It's only like 20, 30 million. When that's the size of the limit that is out of pocket, then no one is going to basically, hold them through. Okay. How do you protect yourselves from going bankrupt? Again, it's very similar to how do you identify from going bankrupt, right? So, ensuring that number one and foremost is, again, understanding that a lot of this is not builders' fault, right? A lot of people naturally has this stereotype that builders make a lot of money and, they are super rich because of the stereotype around their lifestyle and, their big, beautiful houses. Yes, they used to, but, in the last sort of 3 years, because they've written a lot of bad contract, they are at the brink of bankruptcy. And so if a builder reaches out to you and your friends, and if you are building through with the same builder and he is giving you variations in good faith, while it's not allowed in Victoria, understand that he is having cash flow issues. And no one is going to pay from their own pocket for your build. It's your build ultimately, right? If you go to, say, for example, Woolies and Coles and tell them, hey, I won this salad for, $1, and Woolies is like, oh no, it's going to cost me $3. They're not going to subsidize it for $2 unless it's going to get wrecked, right? They would rather just throw it in the bin rather than selling it to you for, X, right? From that sort of mentality and mindset that no business pushes money into their own business from their own pocket just to, give the client what they want. Ultimately, they are there for the money. And so their best possible alternative is to make nothing. It's not to make a loss, right? That's how builders think, going back to the original point that they manage cash flows. They don't manage businesses. Okay. So if they are coming to you in relation to variations, work a way around it and make sure that, you are seeing it through, because a builder going bankrupt is a lot worse position for you than a builder charging you variation. Okay, because if they go bankrupt, the new builder who comes in, they charge you more. You might or might not be covered fully through the insurance side of things. They would still be out of pocket. There is delays, there is holding costs associated with you paying, repayments on land and your build, etc., all of those things. And so you need to understand some of these intricacies as well. What else can you do to protect yourself from the bankrupt builders or, from some of these things? Understand that due diligence is an important part of all of this. And so there would be a lot of red flags out there when you are dealing with a lot of builders. Understand also that if a builder is too cheap, there is a reason that they are too cheap. And so comparing the contracts and making sure that you're doing a like for like comparison between the builders is important. If it's too good to be true, it is actually not true. And that remains very, very fair and square in today's world. When you talk about builders, if they are trying to win the business, they will, serve you with a variation, or they will work through the contract and push the prices up along the way. And so setting up the expectations is quite important and quite right in some of these things as well.